When we're working with ellipses, we like for them to be in this form mathematically, because when they're in this form, we can easily see what the center is. And then we can easily determine the vertices and the foci. But what happens if we have something like this? Here's an ellipse, and it's not in that convenient form. Well, what we need to do is put it in that form. And the way we do that is by completing the square. So here's the way I proceed. I'm going to group the x terms together. I've got 9x squared. I put it together with the negative 18x. I put the y squared together with the y and move the constant term to the other side. Then what I want to do is group the x's together and factor out the coefficient of the x squared. That's the first step in completing the square for the x's. And I do that same thing for the y's. I just factor a y out. So notice here the y is factored out. If I distribute back through, I get 4y squared plus 24y. Over here, I get 9x squared minus 18x. Now once we do that, we take half of this x term, the x coefficient, which is -1, and we square it and add it into this parentheses. Now I can't just add something to this side of the equation without adding it over here. But before I just, real quickly add a +1 over here, I need to consider, well, what really have I done on this side? Yeah, I added a 1 here, but there's a 9 out front. So what I have done in effect is I've added a 9 to both sides. A 9 to this side. That's what I've done. So since I've added a 9 to this side, I need to add a 9 to this other side. Now it's balanced. It was off balance there for a minute. Now I'm going to take half of the 6. I get a 3. I square it and add a 9. Now once again, I'm having to be careful because, I put a 9 in here, but what I've really done to this side is added a 36. So I need to balance it out by adding a 36 over here. Now notice what happens. These 9s cancel, and I'm just left with this. Now this is not the form that I want yet, because what I want is a 1 right here. So let me just divide through by this number, 36. That'll give me a 1 here. 9 over 36, well, that will reduce to 1 over 4. 4 over 36 will reduce to 1 over 9, and we have this. This is what happened when we just divide it through by 36. I divided this term by 36 and reduced, this term by 36 and reduced, and this term by 36. Now we can easily see, for example, what the center is. Well, the center is going to be 1, -3. You can just see that immediately. Now the major axis for this ellipse is vertical, because the 9 under the y is bigger than the 4 under the x, right? So the y term has the bigger number under it, so we have a vertical major axis. So that tells us that we're going to go up and down to get the vertices and the foci. So here we go for the vertices. The 1 stays the same, the x. However, I take -3 and I add 3 to it to get one vertex, and then I subtract 3 from it to get the other vertex. See? -3 plus 3, -3 minus 3. And I get the 3 from the square root of this 9. Now as far as the foci goes, well, we're going to need the c. We're going to need the square root of the difference of these two values, 9 and 4, which is 5, square root of 5. So the foci, I get, the x's stay the same, but I have -3 plus square root of 5 and -3 minus square root of 5. And that will give you both foci for a graph that looks something like this.